Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you all had a great week. We're back in Can-Am SimSport's CASSCAR Roadmaster series at a track I very much enjoy. Montreal. Fantastic little circuit we've got here. Sorry, I'm a little winded. Still working on making a couple of short, quick notes. But we should be underway here in just a few minutes, and I think we're going to have one heck of a show tonight. Okay. Should be right about in the window now. Welcome, welcome to Montreal, Canada, the Great White North, whatever you want to refer to it as, for what is sure to be quite an exciting race. Streets are always exciting with these guys. You all seem to, I don't know if any of you recall the Adelaide race, but we had one hell of a show at Adelaide once people started to find their footing and get the rhythm of things. My track map is not loading right now. It's just a big squished circle. I wouldn't even call it an oval. But we are going to go ahead, and our championship, top two in the championship are actually still in pit lane. I believe Heel Toe Hero is out. Not sure why everybody's safety lights are on. I guess because the track's a little damp. Could certainly do it. But let us go through some championship standings, because folks, things have gotten interesting in the fight for the championship title. On the driver's side of things, Nikita leads the charge with 60. I'm sorry, that's not right. On the driver's side of things, Nikita leads the charge with 327 points. Trailing just behind is Joe Dirt with 315 points. And P3 is Ian McClure with 278 points. That is your top three in the championship. Ben Grabo currently sitting fourth with 206 points. Ian Arnold sitting fifth with 198 points. Fabio Barros sitting in sixth with 192 points. Spiky Cactus sitting in seventh with 180 points. Just behind him, Mark Shine with 178 points in P8. Pingu sits P9 with 172 points, and behind him is Acceptable Loss with 150 points in 151 points in the top 10. That is your top 10 in the driver's standings, folks. What's very interesting, though, is Grip DLL, the team consisting of Acceptable Loss and Nikita. We talked about it last week, how we were missing a driver on Team Ian, who I Okay, he has made it out to this evening. Grip DLL leads the team championship with the drop round rule in place. They're currently leading by about 12 points over Team Ian, and Straw Hats trailing behind them by about 18 points. So very interesting dynamic to play out here at Montreal. Team Ian's going to need a strong turnout to try to bounce back and recoup that lost ground that they've encountered from the drop round. Not sure what I just witnessed there. So very interesting to see what happens this evening as the times start to trickle through. Spiky Cactus had a decent fight there at the end of the last round, and Ian Arnold will cross the line, putting himself P2 in the practice session. Folks, this is a wicked track. If you're not familiar with Montreal, it is loaded with chicanes. And let me do some maths here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chicanes here at Montreal. It is, I mean, every chicane driver would absolutely love it. And Nikita hoping for another strong result here, keep the momentum. P2 in Cleveland, P1 at Indy. Looking to keep that podium streak alive and extend the championship lead, but we're going to ride on board, courtesy of Kansan Performance, for a lap here at Montreal. Hard onto the brakes, down into turn 2. This is the first chicane I was telling you about. It's a bit wider. See, there's turn 2 right here around this little horseshoe carousel. A little bit of an uphill into a brief short straight. Then hard on the brakes again into chicane number 2, which starts with turn 3 and ends with turn 4. Down the hill, through the trees. A little bit of a bob there from turn 5. Hard on the brakes once again into turn 6 and 7. That is chicane number 3. Now the drivers will get a brief break as they thunder down the back straight. Probably the biggest acceleration zone we'll get other than the front straight. Hard on the brakes again into turn 8 and 9. A little bit of a slide here from your championship leader. The track is a little damp right now. Another short run. That was chicane number 4, by the way. The short run down to the hairpin, turn 10. I don't even know how to pronounce the proper name of this track, but a little bit of a slide there once again from Nikita. Just getting the car off camber through turn 11 here. It's a little bit of a bend, clips the curbs there and gets a little bit sideways. That wet paint is really dangerous. Bit of a kink here for turn 12. Firing it down the casino straight into the final hairpin, or I'm sorry, the final chicane of the corner, or the track, turns 13 and 14. And that is a lap here at Montreal. And not a particularly stellar one from your championship leader. Obscure Hi-Fi, still topping the charts right now. Chill Blast with a little bit of a clip of the wall there. And Levy going into pit lane. Spiky Cactus looking to continue to climb up the practice charts a little bit. Folks, the very interesting thing about the grid tonight, though, Joe Dirt P10, Nikita P4, Spiky Cactus jumps up into P3. Driving for Double S Racing, his teammate Stur Haas. A little bit of damage there on the nose of that machine, but he's sitting P2 right now in the warm-up session. everybody, I think, just trying to find a balance here. The practice session's a little damp, so definitely can't look too far into the practice session for the results in tonight's contest, but certainly some interesting things could play out. And what a fantastic street circuit. We call it a street circuit. It is more of a permanent circuit these days, but still originally created on the streets of Montreal. So as far as we're concerned, it counts as a street circuit here on the calendar. 18 drivers in contest this evening. It's Nikita down into pit lane. Ian Arnold also in the box. 45.849 for Ian Arnold. Unfortunately missing last week, costing the team some valuable points in the championship, and he's really hoping, I think, to kind of bounce back from that. Joe Dirt hoping to post a fast and clean lap time here as he crosses the line. He will post a clean lap time, but not exactly a fast lap time with a 43.590. Driver who's claimed to enjoy this track, second place Merchant, raced it back with us in America's Racing League in the Formula USA 2025 series. Haven't been back since. It races very well. I don't think these stock USA Gen 3s are any different. Big V8s thundering through the straightaways. Chicane City. Oh, we got a big slide from Spiky Cactus. That will likely be the end of his session. Indeed it is. Fabio Barros against the wall, likely retiring to the box. Stur Haas still looking to chip away some time. Ben Grabo down into the hairpin. Folks, a driver that we do want to watch and pay attention to is Heel Toe Hero. He's not set a clean time yet, but he claimed, if you all remember the post-race interview, we talked to him about the event this evening and how he felt he might be able to perform, and he said this is one of his favorite, if not his favorite race track on the schedule. If he can find a balance in these cars, definitely be looking for Ian McClure to be a contender here tonight at the streets of Montreal. Obscure Hi-Fi topping the practice session with a 38.240, Cactus with a 38.870, and a 39.140 to, I believe that was Obscure Hi-Fi. I'm not sure. I lost the screen. Ben Grabo will be the first driver to cross the line on an out lap, and we will watch as Ben Grabo takes the 62 Bullseye and Bait Machine on its out lap here at Montreal. Nice dry track conditions. Ambient temp 19 degrees Celsius. Nice and warm day here in Canada. 46 degree track temp Celsius. Kind of windy, but clear. The qualifying session. And everybody likes a dry track, especially with all that horsepower and weight sitting underneath you. Just catching my breath here before we start to get down the train of times here, because once the guys start rolling in some times, it is going to be challenging. And folks, once again, 5 minutes of qualifying means these guys are only going to get about 2 laps, depending on how quick they got out of the box. So this is going to be a very interesting qualifying run. Pressure will be high. And Ben Grable will cross the line and begin his first flying lap. We ride on board with the first driver out of the pit box in tonight's qualifying contest. Nice and smooth down through that chicane, through the trees here on the run down into turn number 6. Up and over the curbs there in the entry to the chicane. Didn't sound too terribly confident on the exit. I think that curbing really kind of upset the balance of the machine there. Putting him a little bit on the back foot, coming down the back straightaway. See a light fuel load on board this machine. First gear down through the hairpin, folks. That is such a challenging turn in any machine, in these cars especially. When you start going down into first gear, it gets very tricky. And I believe Orange Hat, well, was going to be our first driver to cross the line on a clean lap, but had an incident. Nice use of the curbing there. A wide exit for Ben Grabo. Looks like a very clean time. And it is with a 36.6. Tactical Nuclear Pingu crosses the line. No time posted for Pingu. Joe Dirt shoots up to second place. And folks, now the times come tumbling in. Nikita jumped at the top of the leaderboard with a 35.023. Joe Dirt sitting about a half a second behind him. Obscure Hi-Fi putting himself in 6th place with a 36. Let's see what we got. And Levy is going to post a time. No time gain for Levy or Soupy. Next driver to cross the line will be Chill Blast. And Chill Blast crosses the line with no time posted. Ben Grabo will be the next driver to cross the line here. But a driver I want to pay attention to, folks, is a driver currently sitting in P4. Ian McClure, first flying lap. He's 36.902. Can he start in the top 2? Can he start alongside Nikita? It is going to be very hard for anybody to contest Nikita's time. But certainly there will be drivers itching for the opportunity. Ben Grabo looking to improve over his 36.6. Right now it's good for top 3, but it's not where you want to start. Not when you're competitive. Ben Grabo, very competitive, jumping over the curbs here in Canada as the checkered flag waves over the qualifying run. Ben Grabo with a 36.635. Nikita with a 34.890. What a lap from Nikita. Pingu crosses the line. No time gain for Pingu. Can Heel Toe Hero cross the line and bump himself back up into the top 3? He cannot move. He is trapped now in P5, and I apologize. I do believe Pingu jumped up to P5. My gauge of where people are at on track is very poor right now, and I do apologize. Acceptable loss, unfortunately, with no time posted, as well as Orange Hat and Levy Soupy and second place Merchant, all struggling to get a time posted here at Montreal tonight. Can Acceptable Loss get a time posted? I do believe he got one posted. Acceptable Loss makes it to P11 with a 38.550, and that is your qualifying run. Nikita takes the field to pole. Joe Dirt on the outside of lane 2 and of lane 1. Obscure Hi-Fi and Ben Grabo will be P3, P4. Tactical Nuclear Pingu P5. Heel Toe Hero Ian McClure is P6, and his teammate P7 Ian Arnold. Flavio Barros P8. Spiky Cactus P9. Something Fierce P10. Down the list, Acceptable Loss, Sturhaus, Chill Blast, Captain Ahab, and then you get to the drivers who unfortunately could not post a clean time. For some reason, myself being one of them. We run this as a car so that I get more data. From the telemetry on board of the car. – 46 laps in tonight's contest. Should be a great race. Very excited to see what these Cass boys have to put on this evening. Oh no, I'm going to get disqualified. Damn, no. Nikita will take the field around to the green. As the smoke emerges from the tires and drivers start to make their way through the circuit. The slowest these guys will make the rounds this evening. Okay, sorry. I'm trying something different here. Very interesting to see if I can do this without all the camera controls at the top of the screen. The drivers will begin to grid up here. Fiercely weaving to try to get some temp into these Goodyear tires. Slightly warmer now than it was during qualifying. And we wait for the drivers to come through the final chicane. Side by side, we are fixing to go green. Nikita will lead the field to green. And we are racing immediately fanning out to 4 wide back in the back. As the race leader hard on the brakes into turn 1, giving Joe Dirt the run into the entry of the first chicane. Here into turn 2, Ben Grabo now looking for a nose in on Nikita, but not going to make it happen. Joe Dirt jumping to the front of the field at the beginning of this race. A lot of action in the back of the field there as drivers started to fan out 4 wide down the main straight, but here we have settled into a groove already. Nikita trying to nose his way in onto the entry of turn number 6. Not going to make it happen, but right on the bumper on the exit of 7. Can he make something stick? On the entry of the third chicane of the circuit, or fourth chicane of the circuit, I apologize. Very hard onto the brakes, side by side, into turn 8. Through turn 9, Joe Dirt up and on the curbs, manages to hold the position as Obscure Hi-Fi making some moves in the back to try to get around Ben Grabo. Not going to make it stick. Ian McClure up to P5. Ian Arnold, his teammate, down to P8. And Nikita gets a great run out of the hairpin, but it's not going to be enough, and Joe Dirt slamming the door on the Grip DLL driver. Tucked into the slipstream, Kenny makes something happen. Into the final chicane, down the Casino straight. Late attack and a defense from Joe Dirt through the chicanes. And Joe Dirt will lead the first contest, the first lap of tonight's contest here in Montreal. As is usual here in Can-Am SimSport, specifically the CASSCAR Series, Joe Dirt beginning to leave the field along with Nikita. These two always finding an immense amount of pace. And they're just starting to leave the rest of the group. Brilliant drive from both drivers. Heel Toe Hero looking to try to make a move now on Obscure Hi-Fi. Once again, folks, Team Ian looking for a strong result this evening. They've had a rough go this week. Unfortunately, dropping down to second in the team championship, not where they want to be. And Obscure Hi-Fi just doing what he can to try to work over, or I'm sorry, defend. He's trying to defend from Heel Toe Hero. Spiky Cactus facing a little bit of pressure from acceptable loss here. Nikita very close now to Joe Dirt 9. Can he get around this lap? Very strong through the chicane. And a big off from Ian McClure. He's going to cut through. A costly mistake for the driver from Team Ian. Once again, beside his counterpart in this championship. Ian Arnold getting a little bit aggressive there on the curbs. Promoting everybody from about P4 to P6. Up a spot. Heel Toe Hero looking to recover from that mistake. To the front of the field for your race leader battle. Nikita not letting up the pressure here. Bit of a lockup there going into the hairpin. We saw him make a couple mistakes here during the warm-up session, but let's not forget, folks, that the track was a little damp in the warm-up session, and that certainly could have affected his performance, but he seems to get a great run coming on the exit of turn 10 down through 11 and 12. Doesn't have enough overspeed to carry it through the chicane. And allowing Joe Dirt to continue to lead this race. 5 laps in now, folks. And Joe Dirt remains your race leader in the number 95 Valley Mart machine, but had a little bit of a wobble on the front end of that car. You kind of saw the front get a little bit slippery. And Nikita ready to pounce at the first sign of a mistake. A little bit of a lift. You heard him there. He's going to be side by side coming down into the back chicane. Can he get something done here? Joe Dirt going to yield the spot. He leaves him just enough room, but goes up and over the chicane. That might be a track limit penalty for the race leader, but I don't see him yielding any position, so potentially seems to have gotten away with it. Oh, but he gets a little bit of an overdrive, and that is going to be the lead gone back to Nikita, but they're going to stick side by side. A little bit of a shoulder check from both drivers as they move back towards the middle of the track, and Joe Dirt maintains the lead. Coming down the Casino Straight. What a battle for the lead we've got here, folks. And it is not cooling down at all. Nikita beginning to get frustrated, I imagine, as he knows he can get around. He was so quick in qualifying. Single lap pace in that machine is rapid. He just has to get around his opponent. But Joe Dirt doing everything he can to make that car as wide as possible. Tries to nose in, entry of 6, not going to stick it. And here's where he had a great run in the previous lap. Doesn't have the same momentum this time, though. Nice and tidy through the chicanes. Second place Merchant working his way back up from last. Started 18th this evening, already up 4 spots. Six spots? 4 spots. 4 spots. Pardon my poor math here. Oh, Nikita very close now. We'll get back to the backfield fights in a moment. That Kansan Performance machine really looking tidy on this back straightaway. Or front straightaway, I apologize. Currently, folks, Joe Dirt has the fastest Sector 1 and Sector 3. Nikita critically holding the fastest Sector 2, which is, interestingly enough, where most of his passing attempts have come. As he fires it down into turn 3 and 4 on the chase for Joe Dirt. Captain Ahab chasing down Chill Blast through the first chicane here. Something Fierce teammate to Obscure Hi-Fi, currently sitting in P4. Something Fierce sitting in P9. 2 cars in the top 10 this evening for Something Obscure. Currently trying to crack into P8, but facing some pressure from Spiky Cactus, who will go around on the inside on the run down to the hairpin. Can he complete the pass? He does. Spiky Cactus now up to P9. Something Fierce down to P10. A little bit of a wide exit there from the hairpin. And that is position gained for Spiky Cactus. Soupy starting to face some real pressure from second place Merchant. Who's trying to force a move, but being patient about doing so. Deep into the brakes. This is going to be the best run Merchant's had all race on Soup. Can he make it stick? This is a personal favorite track of Merchant's. He's mentioned it to me in the past. Over in America's Racing League. Very much enjoys the streets of Montreal gets up onto the curb trying to nose his way in. Is not going to make it stick here, but just might be able to make it happen. And Nikita now ahead in this contest. Joe Dirt spins and is into the wall. Very aggressive onto the throttle, and Joe Dirt is into the wall. Massive damage for the number 95 machine. But will it be enough damage for him to yield and take a pit stop now? It will be. Joe Dirt into pit lane. Nikita now your race leader. And second place Merchant still charging down P12. I did not mean to click that. Joe Dirt likely fuming behind the visor. I am not sure what happened there at the end. It looked like he just got onto the gas a little early and the nose just kind of drove out. And it just became unrecoverable. And oh, how the mighty have fallen. Joe Dirt from P1 down to P16. And now P18 as the field has gone completely around. Your race leader now departing pit lane. Interesting decision not to take any fuel on board that machine. Try to short fill and shorten his stop later in the contest. Ben Grabo inheriting P2 in this race, and Obscure Hi-Fi taking P3. Currently your top three drivers, but Pingu right there in the mix, trying to crack into the top three here in the Great White North. Merchant, having successfully gotten past Soupy, is now chasing down acceptable loss for a top 10 position here this evening. About 7/10 off, continuing to close that gap down. Such a wickedly fast track. So fun to see these stock cars going around here. Makes such a lovely noise down the straights. Half a second now. Second place Merchant to acceptable loss. Big lockup from Merchant though. Fortunately, he managed to save the car from going into the wall. It's not a corner you want to see your brakes lock. Pingu now contesting Obscure Hi-Fi for position, I think. Lurking right there in his mirrors. Pingu really needing a strong result tonight, this week. This has not been the championship that Pingu would like to remember. Unfortunately, riddled with incident. Just looking to have a clean, no drama race. And right now fighting for a top 5, potentially a podium, if he can keep his head down and outdrive the cars ahead of him. Doing a great job staying in the fight for the top 5, but Heel Toe Hero now coming into frame in the top 5. And Nikita driving away from the field with a 14.7 second lead. don't fear, folks. Plenty of racing to go. Specifically 36 laps. Second place Merchant has broken into the top 10 and is now chasing down Something Fierce for P9. Merchant having a great recovery drive. Not sure if the lack of a posted qualifying time was of choice or just of luck. But he's doing a great job keeping everything off the wall tonight. Not having any sort of drama on the racetrack, keeping himself out of trouble. A little bit of a brake lock earlier in the race, a couple laps ago, maybe even this lap or last lap, but doing a good job of driving safe, smart, but most importantly, driving fast up through the field. Tactical Nuclear Pingu has cracked into the top 3. I apologize for missing that pass, folks. Heel Toe Hero into the top 4. Obscure Hi-Fi has fallen down to P5. Must have been a mistake on Hi-Fi's part, because now Heel Toe Hero has worked his way back into 4th and is on the charge. To try to recover some more ground. Folks, if we start back timing this race, you know drivers are going to have to stop for at least once for fuel. Spiky Cactus having left the session. Not sure what has happened with the driver of the number 80 budget tire machine. But as I was saying, strategies are going to start to be a very important thing here shortly, as drivers begin to try to decide when they want to take their pit stop. Big lock up there from Heel Toe Hero onto the entry of the final chicane. Running a little bit wide, but keeping it off the wall. Ian Arnold, his teammate, smooth through that exit. And second place Merchant, now the guy to watch as he's chasing down not one but 2 drivers for position, and he's going to fire it up the inside of the chicane and pass Something Fierce and start to bring the fight to Sturhaus on the entry to turn 1. I've lost my train of thought, folks. Second place Merchant is driving like his ass is on fire. Absolute wicked move into the final chicane. Big lockup again back behind, and somebody's gone around. Sturhaus has gone around. And I believe that was self-inflicted. Too early on the throttle for Sturhaus. Big lockup again from second place Merchant. You can tell he is just ripping the brakes, trying to get as far into the corner as he can without slowing down. And Sturhaus, unfortunately, just trapped. Now at the back of the field. Joe Dirt making through that incident seemingly nice and tidy. It's a terrible spot to go around too, folks, because you just get trapped. And second place Merchant from 18th to 7th is chasing down the drivers in the top 5. Now this is going to get interesting, folks. Merchant's pace seems to be very good. If we look at the times, it doesn't tell me on that app. We're going to have to pop into the timings here. Second place Merchant, best time of a 37 flat. Not that far off the pace of the 2 cars ahead of him. The drivers, Heel Toe Hero is pretty rapid, but even Pingu and Ben Grabo not that much quicker at their best. My goodness, Merchant is using every square inch of racetrack available to him. We just hope that he keeps it off the wall. Second place Merchant, such a blast to watch when he's in the zone, and I think he's finding his zone because he continues to drive away from the field, or drive up through the field. I apologize. Flavio Barros chasing down acceptable loss now for P9. Looks like Sturhaus has gone around in the final, or in the back chicane as well. Ben Grabo now facing pressure from Pingu. What a drive for Pingu this evening. Absolute recovery this season. And, you know, again, it's been such a trying season for the curator of this series, and he's done so good today in putting himself in the right spot at the right time, and just being patient and driving a good race as he now challenges for P2, which, I mean, for the rest of the field, when Nikita's involved, might as well be the other winner. Trying to make something happen on Ben Grabo. Takes an offensive line wide into the entry so he can exit right in the slipstream. Nice head of steam, but not going to be enough. The gap will continue to open just a little bit. Folks, we got 9 laps left in the stage. 9 laps left in the stage before we throw a full course yellow and stack the grid back up for another round of starts, restarts, and absolute speed. You can tell a very cautious approach to the braking in turn 1 from Pingu there, as he just tries to find the opportunity to get around. Beautiful throttle control here from the driver sitting in P3. Big gain there, as there was a late braking attempt all over the bumper of Ben Grabo. Can he get it done? Really chewing him up here through the chicane. Sticks his nose out. Crosses over. And Ben Grabo's around. Tactical Nuclear Pingu up to P3. Or P2, I'm sorry. Heel Toe Hero. Getting around Ben Grabo. Ben with a fantastic recovery and not losing too much track position. There's only 2 spots lost, and that can be easily recaptured with the right strategy call. No damage to the number 62 machine, so all seems to be well. Probably kicking himself for making a mistake, but thanking his lucky stars, that car is not in worse shape. As Sturhaus exiting the pit lane after some extensive repairs on that machine. Ben Grabo now will be charging down Ian McClure. Again, folks, Ian McClure is a driver we wanted to pay attention to this evening. Mentioned last week in the post-race interviews that this was one of his favorite tracks, and it's showing. An early race mistake knocked him down to P6 or 7 as he overshot turn 1. But managing to work his way back up into P3, finding a consistency here, and settling into a groove with the number 46 Rocket Corn machine. And I think he might still have a shot at P2 yet. Soupy currently chasing down Captain Ahab, his qualified immunity teammate. up ahead in P2. Tactical Nuclear Pingu way up the grid from his teammate here. Number 26, Choco Chompy's machine back in action this week. Glad to see Soupy back out. Soon to be facing pressure from your former race leader, Joe Dirt, who's on another recovery tour, trying to scrap back some positions. Into the hairpin, Soupy very aggressive and clean on the brakes. A little bit of lockup there. You saw the puff of smoke from Captain Ahab, and it's almost afforded Soupy the opportunity to stick his nose in and try to get a pass done, but didn't manage to make it happen just yet. Doing a great job just staying calm, staying smooth. Joe Dirt with a very offensive line here. Not swerving down the straight, trying to keep a straight line into the entry turn one. Big late brake attempt from Soup. That's going to give him a great head of speed through that chicane or that horseshoe corner there, but still not enough to overtake P12, but he is all over the back bumper. So we ride on board courtesy of Choco Chompies with the driver of the number 26 car. Oh, and there's been a little bit of contact. Chill blast into the wall there on the exit of turn 9. It's going to give Soupy an opportunity to get on the outside of the hairpin, but he loses a little bit of ground, and that's going to cost him the position to Joe Dirt as they drag race out of the exit of turn 10 through turn 11. Joe Dirt will now take P14, or take P13 from Soup. All it takes, folks, is one little bobble, and that is all you need to get around here at Montreal. But Soupy not giving up the fight just yet. Feels like he's got a lot more pace in that car, trying to answer Joe Dirt's overtake. But Joe doing a great job just keeping his head down and staying smooth, racing through some of this slower traffic, and he still, I believe, is on the lead lap. Now, it does say he's a lap down. I don't think that's completely true. He has not been passed by the race leader yet. Soupy still got some pace in that machine. Not giving it up just yet as we've got a 3-car train down into the hairpin. Another big lockup from Captain Ahab, and that's going to give Joe Dirt the opportunity to get around as well as Soupy up to P13, and now Soup's going to chase down Joe Dirt to try to crack into the top 12. Nice wide exit, but the ground is beginning to be lost. I love seeing the difference in the approach to that first chicane. Every driver taking it a little bit differently, and you can see just the deficit in pace and time that some of these guys can find. Well, let's check in with your midfield pack here. Joe Blast chasing down something fierce. A little bit of a slide there on the exit of turn 10. Obscure Hi-Fi out of the session. Surprising twist from a driver that had a great opening stint in this race. Not sure what has occurred for the driver of something, or for the driver driving for something obscure in that number 96 SKS machine. Oh wait, no, that's something fierce. I apologize. It's 35 Orion Syndicate was Obscure Hi-Fi. Something fierce now the sole driver for Team Something Obscure out on the field. And I do believe that promoted second place merchant up to P6 with now a huge mountain to climb chasing down P5. But folks, we are getting ever so close to the end of the stage. That is going to stack everybody back up and give some of these drivers the opportunity to close some of these gaps down. And Nikita just out for a Sunday drive at this point, folks. I know we haven't looked at him too much on screen tonight, but not since he took the lead, but a round of applause for the man of the series. Seemingly unstoppable in everything he drives. A little bit of an overdrive there through the hairpin. Well, that's okay. He's got nearly a 30-second lead on the field, so, you know, if he keeps it off the wall, didn't cost himself much damage, he's fine. He could almost pit before the stage and maintain his position on track when the stage points fall. I'd actually be curious to see if he pits in the next lap. I mean, if I had a 30-second lead, I would. You'd almost be silly not to. You can pit, come out, warm your tires up for a lap, and still get the stage points and not have to pit at the stage. Worst case, I think he loses 2 positions. Worst case. And that is a long shot too. Like, I think a pit stop's 35 or so seconds, maybe 40. Fuel and tires at least, not getting a substantial amount of work done. So it goes around the car of, I believe that's, is that Levy? And Levy potentially? I believe that's N Levy. Nikita. Oh, big spin from N Levy. Not a good spot to go around either. Fortunately, nobody was there to be collected in the process. Flavio Barros in pit lane. Presumably looking like it's a scheduled stop for him. A little bit of damage on that machine, but nothing that he can't get around. Now pits close at the end of this lap. question will be if Nikita decides to pit. I don't think he could do it without losing any ground. A little bit of a misstep there through that third chicane. I definitely think he would lose a position or two, but I'd almost take the gamble, man. I mean, you stop, you fill. Maybe you fall down to third, fourth place. But then when the stage hits... Oh, we've got the safety car out. I presume the safety car came out early? This would be the mandatory safety period. And I believe that is... Is that... Who is that behind the safety car? Captain Ahab, maybe? No? Chill Blast? No? Where's the safety car and who's behind it? Somebody fell in line behind it for a moment there, but now they're not there. I believe it's... I don't know. It is Nikita. It's weird how it shuffled the field around the way it did. Flavio Barros, if you all will remember, driver back there in P14, CB, did pit earlier in the session, just a lap before the stage break, essentially. He is poised to move up the grid. Probably a healthy chunk. I don't think that I saw anybody else opt to not pit. And pits will be open this time by... And Nikita into pit lane. Ben Grabo, Ian McClure, and Levy. Nikita off and away will lead the drivers off of pit lane. Tactical Nuclear Pingu will take P2 off pit lane, and Ben Grabo remains P3. Ian McClure P4. Second place Merchant departing from his box. Driver's still continuing to cycle through the pit box here. But Nikita, the overall victor in the race off of pit lane. Pingu P2. Ben Grabo P3. And Team Ian P4 and P5. And second place Merchant back up into P6. No time lost on pit lane for the driver of the number 60 Zero Hedge Machine, or Zero Edge Machine, I'm sorry. Be very interesting to see how this restart goes, folks. I do believe we'll get one more safety car lap, manual safety car lap, where back marking drivers will wave around to the front of the field. believe this is going to be a very exciting restart. Safety car will be coming into pit lane this lap. And now the lap down cars will go around for their wave around lap. See the top 6 there cycling through. Nikita coasting in that number 82 Can-Am machine. Drivers working to heat these tires up, folks. I am absolutely thrilled to watch this restart. Some very strong contenders now cycling to the front of the field. Nikita, who is always one to watch on the restarts. Pingu, who is having the best run of the season here in Montreal. And Ben Grabo on a great race as well this evening. But the talent doesn't stop there. Heel Toe Hero, Ian Arnold, second place Merchant, all sitting right there, ready to pounce on this restart. Soupy with a great recovery drive as well. Poor qualifying efforts from the qualified immunity driver, but he's made it up into the top 10. Currently sitting P8 and poised to have another great restart here. This will be looking to try to find a way past Captain Ahab. Restart is going to be a tricky one. And Nikita pounces on the throttle, brings the field back to green. Tactical Nuclear Pingu there in sight of the race leader, but only just, and it won't last long. If Nikita maintains the pace he's maintained all night, he will drive away from the field, and it will be a fight for second. As Tactical Nuclear Pingu tries to chase down your race leader, Ben Grabo starting to face pressure from behind in Heel Toe Hero. Big puff of smoke there. I believe that was Ian Arnold had a bit of a lockup there into the second, third. I don't remember how many chicanes that is. And second place Merchant really trying to put the pressure on. Soupy just behind trying to chase down Something Fierce. Something Fierce with a big off track. Not sure if that will be a track limit penalty. Seems to be opening the door and allowing positions by. We're 3 wide on the approach down to the hairpin. That is not something I thought I would be saying tonight, but here we are. Absolute chaos down into the hairpin. Everybody seemingly making it through okay, and Soupy, the big winner in that conflict, up to P7. Acceptable loss, or I'm sorry, yeah, P7, acceptable loss now getting around. Something Fierce for P6, or P8, I apologize. I'll get my numbers right eventually. Ian McClure trying to chase down Ben Grabo. Doing a great job on this restart of at least staying in the fight. And second place Merchant continues to try to work over Ian Arnold and crack into the top 5. But folks, the fight for P3 is far from over. Now, Heel Toe Hero continues the charge. Hot on the heels of Ben Grabo, deep into the entry of the hairpin. Nice shallow exit. Is he going to get the run he wants? Down the casino straight. I don't think it's going to be enough. But the gap continues to dwindle. Slow car there, I believe, with Chill Blast. Ian McClure needs to respond quick, or he's gonna start to face pressure from his teammate behind him. Notice how he flattens off that corner. Loses a bit of ground that time through, though. Ben Grabo starting to expand his lead over P4 of Heel Toe Hero. But now, mired in the slow traffic ahead, it's going to give Ian McClure the opportunity to get a run. Very conservative on the brakes there from the 46 machine. Everybody taking a little bit of a bite of concrete there on the exit of the corner. Nice square hits, though. Tactical Nuclear Pingu leaving a puff of smoke from a lockup there in the entry to turn 6. This is a nice run. And Nikita has gone off, I believe. Tactical Nuclear Pingu is up to the lead, and Ben Grabo will take P2. Where does the fall stop? Nikita maintaining that outside lane, but it is not where you want to be through the hairpin, and now Heel Toe Hero is going to have an attempt here to get around your race pole sitter, and quite frankly, the driver that we all thought was going to lead the race to the checkered. Nikita now sitting P3. And will be chasing down Ben Grabo for the lead. And Tactical Nuclear Pingu leads a lap here at Montreal. Absolutely so happy to see that number 74 machine get some laps led in this Roadmaster Series. A very trying season, and just tonight, what an outstanding performance from Pingu. I mean, just clean and consistent. If he can maintain this kind of a drive, you might be looking at that number 74 machine in victory lane. Nikita on the inside of Ben Grabo now. Not going to make it stick, and Heel Toe Hero not bowing out either. Nikita now mired in the traffic that was behind him, and it is costing him seconds of time each lap. Nikita hard on the charge for P3. Do we see another late move like we saw from second place Merchant earlier this evening? We don't. He opts for a much more cautious approach to the chicane. Speaking of second place Merchant, still sitting comfortably in P6. Probably hoping that somebody up ahead of him makes a mistake, is Ian Arnold wide on the entry of turn 2, and that's going to cost him a little bit, but Merchant with a bit of a wobble on the exit of turn 2. Nothing the driver of that 60-0 Edge machine has not seen yet. And Merchant just trying to crack into the top 5 right now. And Nikita continues to charge for position, but also defending from Ian McClure in that number 46 machine. It looks like Cap Nahab behind has gone off. Very risky place to have an off. Pingu continuing to open his gap while the pole sitter is bogged down in traffic behind. Here comes a move from Nikita. Can he get it done into turn 1? Ben Grabo, what kind of defense does he have in the number 62 machine? He maintains that inside line through turn 2, and it's going to force Nikita to take a non-desirable line. Does he get the pass done? He's nosed ahead right now, but into the approach to turn 3, it will be Nikita down the hill. And now chasing down your race leader, Pingu. But guess who took that opportunity to slip through the traffic as well? That would be Heel Toe Hero Ian McClure for Team Ian in the number 46 car. Manages to follow Nikita through the traffic and work his way back up onto the podium. And I imagine Ben Grabo not happy about letting his opponent through, not losing just 1 but 2 spots there. Nikita kind of put him in a pinch. Great pass and a great defense. Honestly, both drivers, a massive amount of respect shown from both drivers there on that maneuver. And now Nikita works to close down a 3.5-second gap. And folks, I don't think it'll be long before we see him make an attempt to pass your current race leader. Oh, and Heel Toe Hero into the wall a little bit on the exit of the final corner. Second place Merchant now seeming to have a great run. I think it's less a matter of when and more a matter of if. Or less a matter of if, more a matter of when. I apologize. As he chases down the number 4 of Ian Arnold. A lot of lockups we're seeing tonight into the turn 6 and 7 complex. Merchant backing out of it there in favor of a better turn, not wanting to have any sort of contact. A really huge step in patience this week, I think, from Merchant. Just generally speaking, not having too much on-track drama tonight. He's had a rough go this season as well. Getting around Ian Arnold now and into the top 5. Started 18th and has cracked into 5th position. Great drive from second place Merchant so far. We've had another retirement. I don't believe I know who that was. Chill Blast. That was Chill Blast retiring. And now, about a half a second gained on the race leader. Nikita on a revenge drive now, trying to find his position back. Quite an attrition rate we've had so far this evening, folks. 4 cars retiring from this race. Nikita is on the hunt. Another half a second gained that lap. Crosses the line 2.3 seconds behind your race leader. Pingu, though, only has to maintain the lead for 10 more laps. Ten laps remain in this contest. All he has to do is hold off Nikita for 10 laps. I know I say all he has to do, but folks, Nikita is now flying closer and closer every second to your race leader. The pressure will be mounted very shortly. Is now second place Merchant, facing a little bit of pressure from Ian Arnold behind and trying to apply the pressure to Ben Grabo up ahead. Nice late break, squaring off the hairpin to get a nice run out of turn 10 and down the Casino Straight. Opened the gap behind on Ian Arnold, but still chasing down Grabo up ahead. Very close now through the chicanes. Nikita's gap still about 2.5 seconds. Second place Merchant with a big overshoot into turn 1. Almost a massive off. Managed to save it and back out of that. Taking a deep breath. Refocusing. Trying to get back on the front foot. Big lockup again up ahead from Heel Toe Hero. As the sun begins to set here in Canada, specifically Montreal. If y'all are just now tuning in, thank you for tuning in and welcome. This is round 7 of the CASSCAR Roadmaster series here on Automobilista 2, operated by Can-Am SimSport. Fantastic batch of AMS2 drivers, and what an incredible championship it's been so far. The penultimate round, we've only got one more race left at Road America next week, and Ian McClure really seems to be struggling on tires for whatever reason. I don't know if it's just coincidence that we're seeing him lock up a lot, or if those tires are starting to get thin. Nikita, now another half a second gained on your race leader with just 8 laps to go. He's got 2 seconds to gain or so, and I think he can do it. The question is, can Pingu hold him off and take his first win of the season? Time will tell. Ian McClure with great recovery drive so far. In second place, Merchant yielding a position back to Ian Arnold, unsure of why that happened. Another lockup down into turn 6. Folks, drivers are hitting the brakes so hard in turn 6. And there goes a round. I believe that is Flavio Barros trying to get that machine spun around and hard into the wall. That is the rear splitter gone. That will be a costly pit stop. Supi filters through, maintaining P7. Nikita now less than a second off your race leader. Can he get it done? Six laps remaining now in this contest. And I imagine, 7 laps, I apologize. I imagine that Pingu was deeply hoping that it would take longer for Nikita to close that gap than it has. But Nikita, with a very bold dive and a shot at your race leader, trying to get around. But Pingu closing the door on him and maintaining a nice wide defensive angle here through turn 6. And down the backstretch into the 8-9 complex. Now, folks, this is where Nikita slipped up earlier and allowed Pingu by. You see a little bit of a wiggle there from the number 92 machine. Definitely trying to play it safe here and not make a big mistake. He's been very strong in the hairpin against his competition, and you saw a bit of a puff of smoke there as Pingu locked up one of his front tires there. Pingu with a great defensive line here, just trying to read the situation and predict a lunge. If you're just tuning in, folks, this is the battle for the lead in the Can-Am SimSport CASSCAR Roadmaster Series here in the Great White North of Montreal. Pole sitter currently battling Tactical Nuclear Pingu for the lead. Pingu with a rough go this season, and what a turnaround it would be. What a boost of morale for that driver to have a race win after such a rocky go in the first 6 rounds of this championship. But it's not going to come without working for it if he can get it. Consistency and cleanliness got into the front of the field, and now he has to defend against your championship leader, your pole sitter, And the fastest man alive, Nikita, back in the number 82 Kansan Performance Machine, who is all over, but another little bit of a wobble there from Nikita coming out of turn 9. Folks, I do not think he feels very comfortable at all on the exit of that second-to-last chicane on the circuit. The car seems to lose its momentum, lose a little bit of balance on the exit as he clips those curbs. And he spends the rest of the lap on the back foot trying to catch the leader. And if Pingu can just keep him behind for the duration of the lap up to then, he just might be able to outlast the onslaught. Pingu will cross the line, and as he crosses the line, he is told 5 laps to go. 5 to go. Big puff of smoke as a lockup there from Nikita. The lap traffic is going to start to play into effect. I'm sorry, Nikita didn't lock up. It was Pingu that locked up, and Nikita ready and willing to take advantage of the situation. Lap traffic is going to be hugely detrimental to your race leader unless they just yield and get out of the way. But these are such difficult places to get around lapped traffic. And Nikita is not yielding an inch to the race leader. I imagine there is sweat pouring out of the forehead of Tactical Nuclear Pingu behind. As you see, Levy yielding to the faster cars. Very late and defensive on the brakes is Pingu, but he steps out and slides, and that's going to give Nikita an opportunity to pounce, but it's not going to be enough ground. Nikita still on the back foot, chasing down Pingu. Pingu counting his lucky stars. He didn't go into the wall, but now he has to face the pressure down Casino Straight and into the final chicane here tonight. And he's going to maintain the position for one more lap. Nikita runs wide and clips the wall. A costly error for your points leader. Every 10th counts here tonight in the closing laps of this contest, the street fight here in Montreal, Canada. And it is going to come down to the wire for these guys, folks. The race for the win. The race for redemption for one driver, and the race to continue championship decimation for the other. Pingu doing a fantastic job holding off the rapid and quick Nikita. But Nikita's very, very close here. He's going to try to nose in, but man, I am telling you, Pingu is predicting every maneuver, but a very clean turn 8 and 9 for Nikita. As he fires down into the hairpin again, Pingu nearly lost the lead here in the last lap, and he's going to maintain a much cleaner, much smoother line through the final hairpin. Beautiful defensive driving right now from the number 74 Build Strong machine. Absolute props to Pingu here for the drive, but Nikita all over the back bumper now. He's really just trying to find the opportunity to get around. But time is running out as your race leaders just crossed the line for 3 laps of racing left. What a thrilling race we have had this evening. I mean, I did a big puff of smoke there, another lockup from Pingu, and it's going to force Nikita to quickly react to not run into the back of the race leader. But another great head of steam here coming down the back straight and into the very difficult turns 8 and 9. You see he was early on the brakes to try to switch back onto the inside. Very smooth through turn 9, though, folks. Nikita is finding the balance. He is not cracking under pressure. He thrives under pressure. As the race for the lead will continue for at least one more straightaway, potentially more, as now they will be side by side. Nikita on the outside, not where he wants to be on the approach to the chicane. Early on the brakes to try to switch back through, but Tactical Nuclear Pingu maintains a little bit of a wobble. Can he maintain the lead even with that little bobble? He's going to stay in the lead down the front straight. And into turn 1, it was almost game over for Tactical Nuclear Pingu as he cracked under the pressure just a little, and Nikita with a great run out of turn 2, up the hill and into the approach of the 3-4 complex. One lap after another, Nikita chips away at the lead, and one lap after another, Pingu continues to fight for his life for the win tonight. What an incredible drive from both drivers, but I mean, absolute Cinderella story. If Pingu can bounce back in round 7 of this championship and net himself a win, very aggressive on the brakes. Through turn 9, Nikita with a great run on the exit of that chicane. Looking to make a move. This time by, perhaps. And a big lockup from Pingu is going to cost him dearly, but they're still side by side, and the position maintains to Pingu, but Nikita is going to try to get around, and I just might seeing it happen here. You see that squeeze from Pingu there, trying to force Nikita to brake early, but it's not going to happen. Nikita is going to gain the lead, I suspect, but no, they're side by side. A shoulder check through the final chicane. And Pingu maintains the lead when he gets the white flag this time by. Through turn 1, nice and tidy. He just has to hold him off. 10 more corners. 12 more corners. To the checkered flag, Nikita. Driving the perfect final stint. After he lost the lead, it was head down, blinders up, focus forward. But the true victor may just be Tactical Nuclear Pingu. What a drive. What a race. And we're still not done just yet. 4 corners left in this contest, and the tricky hairpin is the next one. A big lockup from Pingu, and he goes deep into the corner. Nikita gets around. Pingu down to P2, and he's going to lose all the momentum and all the ground. He'll get one last opportunity to slot through in the chicane, but I don't think he's got enough time. The slipstream's not going to be powerful enough. He's going to go to the inside on the chicane, but it's not going to happen. Nikita with an incredible comeback drive. Pingu not going to make it happen, not going to get the win, but still an incredible drive. Nikita brings the field to the checkered. Tactical Nuclear Pingu right there behind, and heel toe hero in P3. Ben Grabo and Ian Arnold round out your top 5. And I believe that might be a post-race penalty for Ben Grabo, because second place, Merchant, takes P5. Oh my lord, folks, I lost my voice. What an insane finish. I mean, that was not on my bingo card for tonight's race. What? I'm at a loss for words. truly at a loss for words. What a great race. Truly, truly great race. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more exciting finish from that race if you tried. You weren't going to get anything that would have been as unpredictable and insane as what we just watched. I imagine I probably pissed my wife off, who was sleeping in the other room. I was actually climbing out of my chair almost at the end of that event. I mean, what a freaking race. Well and truly insane drive. Trying to get the podium drivers in for a post-race interview. Get some cars up on screen here for a moment. We're going to go to test day and pop into the Stock USA Gen 3. Did we get a heel toe hero? I don't know if I got a heel toe hero. So I'm going to start with he's bounced. So we're going to start with Pingu at the Build Strong machine. All right, so post-race interviews with typically the podium finishers, but we are short a driver, so we're going to start with, we talk about like race, start to finish comeback drives in a race, but honestly, Pingu, this was like the redemption arc for you this season. Such a tumultuous and bumpy season, not the results I'm sure you've ever been hoping for. And to even be in contention for a win today was probably a huge monkey off the back. But that last 12 to 14 laps was pure cinema. I mean, were you expecting to even be in contention at the podium, let alone the win this evening?
I think I had a sniff of the win early on. I rolled off fifth, lost a couple of positions in the first lap, being a bit cautious on the start. But then it was a case of just sort of sitting tight in fifth there for a bit. I knew I had pace on Ben and Ian ahead, so it was going to be a case of trying to get ahead of them at some point. I was thinking really it was going to be a pit stop call, but thankfully I was able to pressure them into mistake to get that position. Then it was a case of just looking up ahead. Didn't really think I'd ever have anything for Nikita, but my car was pretty good off the restart, weirdly. Fired off quite well. I was able to get a gap behind and stay roughly on Nikita's back bumper. So when he had his quick spin, I was able to duck through there. Then it was just a case of waiting for the inevitable, to be honest.
Yeah, that's just the pressure that I imagine you had to be under those last 12 laps was immense. And I mean, what was the thought process there? Like, obviously the default answer for people is, well, I just got to keep my head on straight and focus forward. Don't worry about the car behind. But when you've got a championship leader in your rearview mirror, the guy that sets the fastest lap week in, week out, quite possibly the fastest human being on earth, I mean, that's got to create a little bit of tension behind the wheel.
It's easier, to be honest, in my opinion, because you just know that the guy's got half a second a lap on you. You know he's going to get past at some point, so you just kind of make peace with it. Well, I do at least. And then it's just a case of just placing your car in the right place and hitting your marks. And unfortunately, I didn't hit my last mark on the hairpin there. I was struggling a bit on the left front tire. It was getting a bit worn out. But yeah, that's kind of the thought process. Just like he's going to come to my back bumper, and he's gonna probably find his way through. So as long as I can make the dance last, then that's as good as it can be. But to be honest, even before that, I was looking to the gap to third. That was kind of my target once I saw that he'd cleared Ben. I knew I wouldn't really have much pace to go toe to toe with him, so it'd just be a case of trying to hold the fort until the inevitable happened.
Well, it was a very hard-fought second, and I screamed at my microphone when you went deep in the hairpin, man. I could not believe what I was watching. But honestly, win or no win, a finish on the podium and a P2 nonetheless, like that's got to be a big relief given the drives that you had this season. You've got the pace to be competitive, just being collected in a handful of incidents or mired back in traffic. This has got to feel really good going into Road America next week.
Yeah, it does, to be honest. I mean, Daytona, I think I had pace for a good finish there, but I beat myself on that one, then the wall jumped out at me. That's not a racing driver excuse. Adelaide was really the biggest missed opportunity. That was just a case of sort of like looking after the equipment and letting it come to me. And same thing Road Atlanta. So yeah, it does feel good to finally get one on the board, but it's been a little while coming.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm so glad to see you up at the front, man. You've been putting on a show, and words are eluding me for the quality of the race that was there at the end. A lesser man would have wept, but you continued to fight till the very last corner. And I thought we might even have a front straightaway pass there for the win, but just a tenth or so shy. But great drive, man. Massive props for P2. That was a barn fire of a race. I could not have asked for anything better from the booth.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And now the man of the hour. I feel like we talk to him every week, but it's like the fastest guy on the planet. Nikita, your race winner, but only just. Did you think?
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Did you think for a moment there, though, that the race may not be in your hands?
Yeah, honestly. I did have a little bit of pace on Pingu, but he really, he pulled a gap on Ben faster than I expected him to. He had pretty good pace in the second stage. And the other thing is that we've, maybe he hasn't had the best luck this championship, but we've had several championships where we've been door to door the whole time. Final championship standings come out 1-2 points between us. So, I see it as kind of a return to form. So congrats to him on the P2.
Absolutely, man. It was refreshing to see, truthfully, some new faces contending for the podium. I know that the race kind of got away from Ben there towards the end, and Pingu with the lockup there in the final hairpin. But honestly, like, watching you that last few laps there, you seemed to struggle. The place you made the mistake was the exit of turn 9, I believe, and you seemed to struggle a little bit chasing down Pingu there in that last few laps in the same spot. The car just seemed to kind of want to get away from you there. Was it a balance thing, or were you just overdriving the car trying to maximize every amount of power that you had to catch up to the leader?
I would have to check the replay. That kind of snuck up on me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's.
But I got very lucky that I kept it off the wall, but
yes.
No idea what happened.
It's such a tricky complex of corners. There's so many chicanes at this track that you're trying to shave every bit of it off, and we saw tons of people overshoot the chicane. They clip the curbs in practice and spin. That it's doesn't take much, especially in these cars that upset the balance. And I didn't know if it was just that particular spot on the track, but I will say towards the end of that race, I'd say 3 or 4 laps to go, I quit seeing wobbles come from the car on the exit of turn 9. Like, you were just pointed, and you could tell there was blood in the water for the pole sitter.
Yeah, it's possible the spin for a while might have flat spotted my tires, spiked up
Yeah.
surface temperatures or something.
Was tire temp an issue? Because I'm very curious. I don't get that telemetry. And from what I saw, it began to be a lot of, like, deep in the stint, a lot of locking and a lot of slip.
There have been much worse races for tire temperatures. Let's see here. Checking back on some of my telemetry real quick. It actually looks like my tire temperatures were pretty low, relatively.
Very interesting. Well, that doesn't surprise me. You didn't have to race anybody until like lap 40, so that was a spectacular race. And I got just the beginning of the race there. Was it biding your time and waiting for Joe to make a mistake, or were you really, you seemed all up on the back bumper, but it only when the mistake happened did you manage to get by? I don't gather this is a very easy track to get around people on, because a lot of the corners are a bit difficult. So was it just a patience thing, or were you trying to drive your way back to the front?
At the beginning or after the spin?
Yeah, at the beginning.
Joe had pretty quick pace today. I think he actually set the fastest lap. So a lot of that was just kind of probing where I was faster for a while, and I kind of knew that hairpin was the best place to make the pass. I don't really know. Again, I'm going to have to check the replay. I don't really know how he crashed, because in my mirror, I'm the car in front, but it looked like somebody pitted him. So
from where I was positioned,
it just shot off to the left.
It looked like oversteer from the back. Like, it looked like he jumped on the gas and lost the back of the car. From where I sat, it did look very pit maneuver-y, but there was nobody in shot. I think that might have regrettably been self-inflicted, but still, what a drive, both of you. I mean, like, the whole last 20 minutes of the broadcast was just you two on screen with the occasional pip to another fight, because they're just that was probably the most exciting battle for me to watch all season. So massive props to you guys. Are you all looking forward to Road America, good old Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin next week?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great track. It's gonna be interesting, these cars, because there's a lot of straight line running, so lots of draft, so that should be pretty good.
A lot of elevation changes.
Yeah, whoever gets the dampers figured out for that one is going to be at a bit of an advantage.
Yes.
It's not a historically strong track for myself, so I'm just going to, lock in and try to survive it.
You're too modest. He says this is not the historically best track for me. Also said this last week at Indianapolis, and he won. So we'll see.
Pingu, last time we met there, I almost cost me the championship.
So you were glad that it didn't close out this championship. Then you were happy that you had a couple
Road
more.
America, I mean.
Oh. Well, that'll be interesting then. Be very interesting. So.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate both of your all's time. Thank you so much for putting on one hell of a race. That was a blast to watch, and I cannot wait until next week.
Yeah.
Thanks, man, and congrats on the win.
Thanks. See you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. All righty, folks. That there will be the conclusion of tonight's Can-Am SimSport Roadmaster Championship from the Great White North of Montreal in Canada. What a race that was. Absolute stellar drive from everybody involved. So happy to see Pingu get a good race this week. Kind of been floating there with, okay finishes and a couple bad finishes. Really glad to see him turn it around. Unfortunately, as he said, unfortunate that it took so long to get one up there, but definitely good to see him up on the podium this evening. So that is going to be all for the Can-Am SimSport related stuff. I will say, and I posted it in the CAS external events, but it is officially announced the second running of the America's Racing League Indianapolis 500 will be taking place May 16th, which is next Saturday at 7 p.m. Not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday. So, be on the lookout for that. Should be a good time. Qualifying will be May 12th, Tuesday night, May 12th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We will run until about midnight, maybe earlier, should people filter out sooner. But qualifying is not required. You don't have to be there the whole time. You have to be there, but you don't have to be there the whole time. So you can get in, get your run, and leave. You can pop back in later and make another run if you'd so choose. But we are doing true Indianapolis 500 qualifying. So qualifying for the Indy 500, May 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and the second running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by America's Racing League will be Saturday, May 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Both will be broadcast on the America's Racing League YouTube channel with commentary from the fantastic Papa Bless. Don't miss out. Should be a fantastic race, just like this one was. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in and listening. Thank you to Can-Am SimSport for putting on such a great race and allowing me to do the commentary for you all. I've so much enjoyed doing it. Hope to see everybody again on Monday night. We'll be back tomorrow night for the America's Racing League American Le Mans Series finale at Le Mans. So it should be a great time. Hope to see you guys there. Take care, everybody, and good night.